like cruise missiles probably, Tom, because there's no sounds of aircraft. The sky now black with smoke in front of us. Just across the Tigris River here. Violent explosions. More. The sky lit up. Huge explosions. Blowing apart the prized presidential compound of Saddam Hussein. Many of his major administrative buildings going up in smoke and fire, Tom. Again, another. Just disintegrating here. Bigger than the Gulf War, Tom, the first Gulf War, much bigger, these explosions. This is shock and awe, Tom, for the population of Baghdad. Shock and awe, indeed.
The overture is over. This is the main piece of
Hello,
shock
Tom,
and awe.
come in, please.
Just go ahead, Peter. You have charge.
Yeah. Well, I think you're seeing the pictures of black smoke across a 2-mile area that we can see. Now, we had a ringside view of right in front of us, these major buildings. Secondary explosions, more coming in. More, maybe there's secondary explosion. Further to the south, quite possibly a similar scene in the rest of the palace, but we don't have any vision of that. But right in front of us, at least 10 major buildings destroyed, Tom, in the course of about 2 minutes. An amazing sight. Just like out of an action movie, but this is real. This is real. This is shock and awe, Tom.
Is that the presidential...
Back to you.
Peter, is that all the presidential palace compound that we're looking at?
Oh, these explosions are continuing. The rest of the palace is being taken out, Tom, to the south of us. Other buildings, at least 30, 40 cruise missiles have come in at this point. One building after another going down, Tom.
Are you okay, Peter?
That phase seems over, Tom, and I'm glad about it, and so is our crew here, particularly our cameraman, Patrick Park. Back to you, Tom.
All right, we'll keep the pictures up and let Peter catch his breath and get his crew reorganized. Obviously, this is shock and awe. This is what the administration had been talking about. We had the overture over the last 24 hours or so. Now, the skies of Baghdad are lit up by the lethal firepower of the Allied forces led by the United States. Cruise missiles launched from the sea and from B-52s that took off from England about 6 hours ago. The presidential compound is just across the Tigris River. The picture will be affected, both primary and secondary explosions, it looks like. Mike, come in here with me. Does it look like they have deeply penetrating Tomahawk cruise missiles here going down and causing the secondary explosions, or can you tell?
Tom, I cannot tell. The 2,000-pound air-launched cruise missile will penetrate, and the 1,000-pound TLAM has some capability. I respect Peter's opinion that it's all cruise missile because he can't hear airplanes, but a B-2 at 40,000 feet, I don't expect he would hear with the anti-aircraft artillery. I would not be surprised to be told later that there were some B-2s in the air with 16 2,000-pound joint direct attack missiles for penetrating as you talk about. Because it's just no reason to bounce it off the palace. You need to get to where we think the underground command and control capability is.
It's almost a sense of justice, Tom, in that so many of the resources coming in during the sanctions period have been devoted to the support of the presidential palaces and the corrupt Iraqi leadership, and those clearly are the precise targets of this bombing campaign.
And for those of you who are wondering about collateral damage or civilian population, it's hard to imagine that any of the ordinary civilians of Baghdad were around those presidential palaces, although some could have been. But it is a forbidden area even during times of peace, not during war. You have to be a member of the inner circle to be in that area, even to walk by it in some cases. The residential areas are some distance from here, although obviously they're office buildings, hotels. And there is population in that area.
I just listened to a very detailed briefing by the J3, Joint Staff J3, Major General.
Killed. A possibility, we don't have any information on that either. At the moment, though, there is still a tremendous amount of uncertainty as to exactly what kind of an impact this strike had on the command structure. There are all kinds of different possibilities out there. There have been some changes in Iraqi communications which suggest to U.S. intelligence that something dramatic may be happening. Now, this may be nothing other than Saddam Hussein going underground. What we've seen from Saddam in the past is if an assassination attempt gets close to him, his immediate move is that he will very quickly distance himself from all of his associates. He will put himself in a position where he's safe until he can figure out.
It is possible, however, that the crew of this Apache helicopter are now in the hands of the Iraqis. Seemingly intact, the aircraft was forced down south of Baghdad and was quickly shown on television here. This is another significant TV appearance, Saddam Hussein showing he's still alive. The Iraqi president called the British and Americans the enemies of humanity and God. He insisted the coalition campaign was in trouble. He commended his forces and predicted victory would be theirs.
The fear now is that Saddam Hussein has already instructed his troops to use chemical or biological weapons in the struggle for Baghdad.
Iraq has been showing pictures of what it says is an American surveillance drone which has been shot down. People here know that American troops are only 60 miles outside the Iraqi capital, yet the authorities here remain remarkably confident.
The channel stopped broadcasting at the time of the raid, but is now back on the air. The MOD this morning justified the attack, claiming the station was being used by Iraqi leaders as a command centre. Officials at the station blamed a blackout on a technical problem with a transmitter. In the studio later this morning,
music and images glorifying Saddam Hussein, projecting power and fear to the people he rules.
An Iraqi academic spoke of how the state TV put out the word of truth, exposing the fake lies of the British.
Iraqi TV was taken off air for a time.
They tell a story here in themselves. Many members of the cabinet here are dressed in perhaps slightly lighter clothes, shirts open at the top. President Saddam Hussein is dressed very warmly, almost in very bulky clothing. Now, we know that in the last few days, a cold snap swept through the area. Perhaps he was dressed to keep warm. He did appear to be looking very, very serious. He may, of course, under that heavy greatcoat have had some perhaps body armor. We certainly haven't seen him wearing that type of protection in the past. That's not clear, but it is certainly very noticeable that he is very heavily dressed up in this situation here. We've also heard from Vice President Taha Yassin Ramadan. He has condemned the UN Security Council's move to extend Iraq's oil for food program. He said Iraqis don't need the additional food. He said that this is a blow against Iraq's sovereignty. It undermines the authority of the leadership in Iraq, and Iraq rejects this extension of the oil for food program. And he also...
An armoured bulldozer and a tank were seized by tribesmen near Najaf. But although much of their equipment was taken, the tank crew apparently managed to escape. Ben Ando, 5 News.
Regime today promoting a message of pan-Arab jihad, claiming these fighters from Syria, Algeria and Egypt have volunteered to join them. With President Mubarak today claiming this conflict will create 100 more bin Ladens, Iraq's foreign minister was only too keen to develop that theme.
Of Najaf, where coalition commanders say militias loyal to Saddam Hussein are firing from the gold-domed Ali Mosque, one of Islam's holiest shrines. Tim Wilcox, BBC News.
Saddam must hope he can rely on them. Many of these Republican Guard commanders come from his hometown, Tikrit, but their forces have been weakened by sanctions, and now their loyalty is really on trial.
Jet. These pictures coming in from Iraqi television showing an aircraft. Now, very thin on detail here. We're not entirely sure even if that is the FA-18. However, Iraqi television showing these pictures just a short time ago of a downed aircraft of some description. Obviously impossible from that to see exactly what type of aircraft it is, whether it is in fact even a plane as opposed to a helicopter. Very difficult to tell from those pictures.
Defenders dancing round the wreckage of an American fighter plane shot down by a surface-to-air missile in southern Iraq. This is Iraqi satellite television. The announcer tells the audience the American jet fighter had completed a bombing raid on a residential area of Basra when it was downed. The US says it's deliberately avoiding civilian targets. It says a Hornet F/A-18 Navy fighter.
But Iraq is claiming its successes too, saying it shot down an F-18 fighter jet, seen here, and a Black Hawk helicopter. US officials confirmed the loss of the F-18 near Karbala, the first fighter jet to be shot down in the war. There's no word on the fate of the pilot.
There is no sign of the regime having a command and control in Baghdad anymore. The daily press briefings by the defiant information minister have stopped abruptly. The only visible minister now, in the words of a Pentagon official, Saddam Hussein.
They have to be separated from it. So if one of them is dead,
with his lookalikes and bizarre security arrangements, in power Saddam kept everyone guessing. And unless his body is found and confirmed with DNA tests, the mystery of his whereabouts will continue. Charlotte Hume, 5 News.
Iraqi TV before regime change. Saddam, songs about Saddam, and even more Saddam.
Division. The philosophy here is if Baghdad can't talk to its divisions and the division headquarters can't talk to its tanks, then you're really decapitating the leadership, and that's the kind of explosions we're hearing here in north of Iraq tonight, Tom.
All right, let's go to NBC's David Bloom, who continues to move north, well south of Baghdad, but still deep into Iraqi territory with the 2nd Brigade of the 3rd Infantry Mechanized Division. David?
Tom, we're just rolling along. It's nighttime now, obviously, here in Iraq. It's coming up on 9:10, 9:15 at night. So it's been almost 23 hours now since this force first crossed into southern. Large force, the 2nd Brigade of the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division. And they're just rolling along here, moving north toward Baghdad. Clearly, it is at times a somewhat sobering experience. The gunner said to me, Sergeant said, look, if for any reason I have to open fire, you drop down in this hatch right, because I'm going to have to swing this thing around. So that's the kind of advice you get from a tank commander as you're rolling along with them. But having said that, they've encountered no opposition thus far. Tom?
All right, David, you stay with the 3rd Infantry Division.